What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video, guys. We are here with Palki Sharma once again. Love reacting to her videos. India renames Tibet territories. Oh, I don't know that word. China's push is what I'll call it. India responds. Before we dive into this video, make sure you guys subscribe, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up. Let's hear what's going on. Countering the dragon.
Can India help the G7 counter an aggressive and expansionist China? The Indian Prime Minister's presence at the summit may open up some new opportunities. Italy, the host, wants deeper coordination with the Indo-Pacific. On its part, India too may be ready to deal with the China threat head-on. Reports say New Delhi is working on a tit-for-tat move. In the month of April, China had renamed 30 locations in India's Arunachal Pradesh. And we told you about it, how Beijing gives Chinese names to Indian towns. Now, India is planning a similar move in response. A list has been compiled. India plans to assign new names to more than 24 territories in China's Tibet. And this list could be released soon. Who has prepared the list? The Indian military establishment.
So it's a name war. China-Indian name war intensifies in the Himalayas. Rename a place in India's... So, there are regions in India that China has tried to rename. And so, India decides they're going to do a tit-for-tat. Okay, that's what y'all want to do. We'll do the same thing to you. And now, India is going to rename places that are in China's region. How do you rename stuff in someone else's region? If, like, how does China rename Indian in any territory in India's region, and how would India do the same? This confuses me. Help me out, please.
What's the source of these names? Apparently, Indian officials have looked through historical records. They plan on using ancient names in Indian languages for territories inside Tibet. Plus, India is challenging the Chinese renaming on another front as well. Take a look at this social media post. It is from the Indian Army's Eastern Command. It was posted last month. It has names of 7 areas in Arunachal Pradesh. Beijing had issued Chinese names for these areas in the Indian state, and this post is the Indian Army's counter to China. It highlights the Indian names of those 7 territories. So India seems to be changing its strategy, because earlier when China released such a list, New Delhi's response was limited to statements of rejection and condemnation. But now India seems ready to offer a clear counter-narrative. And the shift is perhaps necessary. In the last 7 years, China has issued as many as 4 such lists, renaming more than 60 territories in Arunachal Pradesh. Beijing has been pressing its bogus claims more aggressively. They have no basis in history, no international support or recognition, but China keeps doing it. Arunachal Pradesh is an Indian state, but Beijing calls it South Tibet. And with every such list, China has sought to rename more and more territories in India. Recently, it also protested a visit by the Indian Prime Minister to the state of Arunachal Pradesh.
Oh, wow.
The southern Tibet region is Chinese territory, and the Chinese government has never recognized and firmly opposes the so-called Arunachal Pradesh illegally established by India. The China-India border issue remains unresolved, and India has no right to unilaterally develop the Chinese southern Tibet region.
So the disagreement is between where the territory belongs, where the border issue, I guess, on is this China's territory or is this India's territory? And that's the problem. So China's claiming it, since it is our territory, we are going to name the places Chinese names, and India has no leg to stand on in trying to develop this. They shouldn't have been. It is not their territory. And I guess India is saying that, no, this is our territory. Like, and we got problem with y'all trying to rename things inside of our territory. So if that's what y'all want to do, we'll go tit for tat, and you know what I'm saying? And we'll do the same thing to you. So the issue is a border issue. Where does the border lie?
The pushback was long overdue. Renaming territories inside Tibet can be one part of it. But the government will have to come up with a more comprehensive strategy to deal with China. Yesterday, S. Jaishankar was asked about the border dispute. He's back as India's External Affairs Minister. He said that the government will focus on finding more solutions.
चीन के बारे में हमारी फोकस तो होगी कि सीमा में जो स्थिति जो है उसमें अभी भी कुछ इश्यूज बाकी बचे हुए हैं तो उसको कैसे निपटाया जाए.
So India may be considering new and diverse diplomatic options, and it needs to keep at it because the China problem is not going away in a hurry. One area of significant concern is India's economic dependence on Chinese goods, and this remains a major challenge for New Delhi. Take a look at this new report. India could greenlight joint ventures between Indian and Chinese companies. This is what the report says. But this would happen with some preconditions. Like the position of the Indian partner, they must hold a majority stake in the joint venture. This is the proposal at this point. But such joint ventures could create economic vulnerabilities for New Delhi, because Beijing has a reputation of using trade as a leverage to extract concessions. So how can India avoid this? One possible option would be to work with like-minded allies, and on this front, the G7 may prove to be a valuable forum. China is very much on the agenda of this summit, specifically the overproduction from Chinese companies and factories. The G7 wants to rebalance the global supply chains. It wants to stop the oversupply of goods from Chinese factories. They're considering raising tariffs on Chinese goods. Some members have already made moves in this direction, and this creates both a challenge and an opportunity for countries like India. Because observers say that Western tariffs also pose a risk. They may push China to start dumping goods in India. So India should raise this issue and demand safeguards at platforms like these. It also has a chance to improve trade relationships and push for a rebalancing of trade equations with the West. You see, the Chinese economy is weakening, so there cannot be a better time for New Delhi to make the most of this global shift.
So it's saying India should look at this. It could be an opportunity or a challenge, because by putting these tariffs on, India or China will dump their goods into India, because I guess they'll be able to sell less goods coming out of China if there are tariffs on their goods. See, I need to learn about a lot of this stuff. I got so much to learn. But that could be an opportunity for India to strengthen relationships with other countries and become trade partners with other countries. And in doing that, they just have to make sure there are sanctions and everything where China's not able to dump, I guess, because they're going to have more goods than they need, or they're not able to dump that into India or onto India. This is interesting. And then with the border dispute, again, I don't know anything about the border dispute. I don't know whose territory is what, why. How long has there been a border dispute over this territory? So I'm going to need y'all help in the comment section 100%. But sheesh, man, getting to watch these videos, I don't know. Everything becomes more and more interesting, getting to hear a lot of things from India's perspective on a lot of issues in the world, and then issues also going on in India, and then what's going on between India and China, what's going on between Pakistan and India, what's going on in the West. It's cool to kind of see it from India's perspective. That's all we have. If you enjoyed that reaction video, make sure you check out this one. Think you'll like it just as much. It's your boy Neal. Out.